In his book, The Sun Also Rises, Ernest Hemingway, he had the following quote from the characters. One of the characters asked, "How did you go bankrupt?" And then the response was two ways: gradually, then suddenly. I love the quote. You guys have probably heard it before, but it describes a phenomenon we see everywhere in life where things, when they decline, typically they go slow. Like if you have a big company, I've been parts of big companies that were previously doing well. I used to work for a company called EDS years ago. Ross Perot, always growing, doing well. Then they had changes. They were bought out, new CEO, and then the company became stagnant and it was starting to decline. But you didn't really notice it, and then all of a sudden, it at the end it seemed to collapse pretty quick, and it got bought out again. That's typical. You see this in also health, where someone is diagnosed with cancer. They look okay. They may look okay for years. Then the last month or two is just like, wow, they just totally crash and then they die. And that seems to be a truism in life. And I thought about that when Joe Biden dropped out yesterday. This was really shocking in the sense that his own staff, the way they found out he dropped out was on X or Twitter. They didn't know themselves. All of a sudden, there was a post by Joe Biden on X, what used to be Twitter, explaining he was dropping out of the race. And this is really strange for a couple of reasons. One, Joe Biden doesn't know how to get on Twitter. He doesn't know technology. His staff is the people that post on his Twitter. He just never posts on it. But they post their stuff under his name. And they had his resignation letter from the race, and they loaded it under his name. And so then it became a lot of conspiracy theories like, does Joe know he's dropped out of the race or not? Because no one has really seen Joe. He's been kind of in hiding. And yeah, it turns out it's real. Then it was like, is it going to be an open convention? Is Hillary Clinton coming back, or is Gavin Newsom? And that quickly was, no. Joe is supporting, endorsing Kamala. And he's not like great friends with Kamala. In fact, those factions used to fight with each other. But officially, he's supporting Kamala. So going into the convention is going to be Kamala Harris and whoever she picks as vice president. But the reason is, why did Joe, after months after months, he's been standing firm saying, no, it's over. I got the delegates. There's no question I am the nominee. We got to put this behind us. My debate performance wasn't great, but it's because I had a cold and I had jet lag because I flew 12 days ago. And it's just one of those things. I'm as sharp as a tack. And so that's how they were going forward. And he kept being defiant until the very end. In fact, just the day previously, his administration, no, Joe is the candidate. Then all of a sudden, boom, it's just like that quote. It was gradually, and then all of a sudden, the bottom dropped out and he left. So the question is really what happened. And I have to think that because Jill Biden wanted another 4 years, she likes a limelight. She likes going to the state dinners. She likes being on Vogue magazine. Joe can't, I don't know how many decisions he can really make. He's going to be 82 years old this year. He's obviously had dementia. So something had really changed, I think, probably in his health, because just a week or so ago, he announced he had COVID, even though he's been vaccinated 6 times. He's had COVID 3 times. Read into that what you will. And the person on his X or Twitter account tweeted, he's sick, I'm sick. And it wasn't a good look. And people around him have noticed his health has really gone downhill dramatically in the past few months. And how these things sometimes happen, you can have dementia for a while, you're a little bit forgetful, but you have good days and bad days. I think that's how Biden was in 2020. A lot of us saw that he had dementia even back then. But there's times you get him on enough drugs. If he's not tired, he can do okay. And that's how dementia works, or Alzheimer's. It's not like you're fine, and then all of a sudden one day you're a vegetable. It's a progression. And at first you just forget a few words or you get a little bit forgetful, but no big deal. Everyone is. Then it gets worse and worse. Then you have some really bad days. And but then you have some good days, and it looks like, well, maybe it's not that bad. I've been around family members like that. You're like, oh, geez, grandma's looking really bad. She doesn't know where she is. She forgets who people are. But then the next day, she's really lucid and really talking well. And you're like, well, what's happening here? That's the way Joe Biden was pretty much for the last 4 years. But here at the end, I think he has really gone downhill quick. And the Democrats, they were really worried how this was going to hurt them in the election, because they saw Donald Trump. He gave an hour-and-a-half speech, and everyone was complaining how long it was. But it showed his stamina, and they knew, my God, can Biden do 5-minute speech? They probably didn't even know if Biden was able to do that. If Biden went off the teleprompter at the convention, it would be a disaster. Who knows? Biden could get lost at the convention. He could walk off stage. They didn't know what he was going to do, and he was just getting worse. And they didn't see a path to victory with Biden. But more importantly, even if Biden doesn't win, this could have hurt other elections, because Democrats, they get demoralized and they're like, I'm not going to vote for Trump. Biden's a vegetable. I'm just going to sit this one out. So when they sit it out, they're not in the voting booth to vote for their Democrat senator or their Democrat representative. This is how it could really hurt the people down the ticket. And so they were really panicked about it. That's why there was a push to remove Biden. But again, he always resisted it, or Jill did, or Hunter Biden resisted it. But something happened. They made him the offer he couldn't refuse in Godfather's terms. I don't know. Maybe they threatened his son with prison. And they probably did a carrot and a stick. Like, hey, if you agree to drop out at the convention, we're going to give you this wonderful tribute. I bet they will, right? They'll have Hollywood and create a real cheesy tribute about Joe Biden, who saved our democracy from the evil Donald Trump. And they're going to push that, and they'll be real teary-eyed, and he'll stand up and look confused and wave, and everyone like standing ovation, and they'll cry. I already choreographed what's going to happen there. And they said, well, you could do that, or we can make things very difficult for you and your son going forward in the future. And I think that's really what pushed it. His health got so bad, they couldn't hide it anymore. And even his family saw that. I think Joe just wants to go back to Delaware and, play with the grandkids, watch Matlock, whatever old people do, sleep a lot. And I don't think you'll see much of Joe after the convention. I think he'll stand up. They'll do the tribute thing, give him a standing ovation. But he won't campaign much. And after the election, no matter who wins, you're not going to see him at all. They're going to keep him sequestered. And then within a year, maybe 2 years, but I think within a year, you'll get the announcement with, heavy hearts, we announce Joe Biden has passed away. I don't think he has long left on Earth. So even if he was elected again as president, it would be Kamala Harris as president, because she's a vice president. So they said, well, why wait for then? Let's do this. Let's get Kamala in. And Kamala, they think maybe she could add a spark to their base. She's not a popular person. When she ran in 2020 for the Democrats for the nominee, she got less than 3% of the vote. She was one of the first to drop out. She never polls well, even among Democrats. She's a very stupid woman. She comes across really obnoxious. From what I heard from multiple sources, she's just really mean and nasty to all her people around her. And she's not a pleasant person, kind of almost like a Hillary Clinton in some ways, but dumber than Hillary. And Hillary's not super smart, but Kamala's really dumb. And the whole how she got her position, she originally literally gave oral sex to the mayor of San Francisco, was it Willie Brown? And then she got to be the vice president, not because of her qualifications. She was literally the first DEI appointment in this high of an office. You could say other people were too, maybe. But what I mean by DEI, is not just that you're a woman or a minority, but you're put in the position not because you're the best qualified, but because you're black or because you're a woman. And this isn't made up by the right wing. This Joe Biden said this. Joe Biden, before he picked his running mate, he said, well, it's going to be a black woman. So he was all into this identity politics, DEI, look at race and sexuality and sex before you get into competence. And that's something that's plaguing all of the nation now. But this is what happened. And so she's our first DEI candidate. So they're hoping she could add spark to the campaign because now maybe people will tune in more to the convention and they can have someone that can somewhat talk better than Joe Biden. I mean, she's stupid, but at least she can understand where she is. She probably knows her name. She can walk off stage without getting lost, unlike Joe Biden. So they have her in this position. How we're going to see it going forward, the media and Hollywood, of course, they're going to fawn all over Kamala, like she's the best woman in the world, the transformational figure. Instead, you have a stale old white man that's a convicted felon, and he's too old to run. These people, they have no sense of shame, right? I literally saw the same people that were supporting Joe Biden 2 days ago are now saying, oh, we can't have Trump. He's too old. Just 2 days ago, they were fine was supporting Biden, who's older than Trump. These people have no shame. They have no souls. So it's not surprising. But they're going to run on that. Somehow Kamala Harris is fresh and everything. And they're going to really push that. And they hope to get some spark, even though she's not a great candidate and she repulses most Americans. I think they're going to try to push that. And they're hoping to get the women's vote. And they already are. Let's get the white women to vote for Kamala because Trump is a scary rapist. But Kamala, she'll allow you to abort your baby even after it's born. You know, they'll really push this abortion as a holy sacrament. And I don't know how effective that will be among single white women. Married white women, they vote with their husbands. So women, by nature, they vote, they're subservient. So if they're with their husband in a good marriage, they will align with their husbands. If they're single, they'll vote with whoever the government is, whatever the dominant culture is. So it doesn't matter what the culture could be. It could be right wing or left wing. Our culture right now is dominated by the left wing, Hollywood, the media, all the important institutions. So single women vote left wing in general. So Kamala, though, will probably get those women. And, you know, the women that are the old wine ants that are drinking boxed wine with a bunch of cats, hate man, she'll get their vote. But the big problem is, will she be able to get the white women vote? Because she's going to lose almost. If you're a white male that votes for Kamala, you got some issues. You got some weird issues. So this is going to be the push. Could Kamala win? It's possible. That's what's really scary. I mean, this country, America's got stage 4 cancer. It's just the truth of it. Maybe I'll title the video that America, stage 4 cancer. This is where we are, that in a major political party, this dumb woman that literally had sex to get into her position and literally was appointed because of racial grievances is now running for president of the United States. This is really a sad day. This is sort of a mockery of the system. Like when supposedly Nero appointed his horse as consul, it's just joking, you know, it's making everything a joke in this country. But this is what happens when you change the people. And as we go, I mean, Kamala's going to win California. She's going to win New York. She's going to win Hawaii. I already guarantee that. And as our country changes and we have fewer whites, eventually someone like Kamala will be totally in the system. And at that point, it'll be a one-party system, America, as we knew it, as our ancestors built. The shining city on the hill will be gone. And I just thought in my head, like, what are the first words I think about Kamala versus Trump? Because this is really a contrast. When I think of Kamala, I think of black, female, low IQ, racial grievances, DEI, third world country, slums, violent cities walled off with areas for the elite, end of free speech, the idea that America is not a people, just an economic zone, the celebration of abortion, celebration of homosexuality, pushing wars to push our values, which is anti-white, anti-Christian across the globe, inflation, a fawning and controlled press, Somalis flooding into your small towns, cross-dressers preaching in schools, and satanic. Those are the words that came to mind. When I think of Trump, I think of America of our ancestors, white male Christian, cowboy spirit, competence, law and order, small and clean towns with, couples walking hand in hand, low crime, the American flag, business friendly, God. That's kind of these are the two contrasts. They really are. And it's what the left would say, the progressive. Well, the future is the Kamala Harris, where, black females, slums, anti-white, dysfunction, and they celebrate that, twerking on your grave, whereas Trump represents old America, where men are reading books and designing rockets to go to the moon. It's really a stark contrast. And so long term, we need a better solution. I don't want to live with a person like Kamala Harris in my country. I don't want to live with those type of people. I want to live with people like me that share my values. And I think a lot of us feel this way. And if she probably hates me, I don't want to live with you either. Well, great. Let's have a peaceful separation then, a national divorce. That's going to be the long-term solution, because we can't live with these people. There's no common ground. I have nothing, someone that would jump on a casket and twerk. I have no common ground with that person. I want to be in a separate country. And I think a lot of us feel this way. But short term, I don't believe worse is better. I think we need to do all we can to give us time and have some quality of life. And I think Trump and Vance gives us that type of quality of life. I don't have any delusions he's going to fix the problem, meaning Trump, and it's not going to stop the demographic trends, because what that would take would be deporting all the illegals, but more than that, people that have came in here even legally from third world countries over the last 20 years, they would have to be deported. It would be huge what we'd have to do, even citizens. So that's what would have to happen. And that's not going to happen. So there's no good end for America that I can realistically see. But short term, Trump and J.D. Vance can make a difference. And we live short term because our lives are fairly short. Even if you live to 100, that's fairly short. But we want to plan for the future, our children, grandchildren. And for that, we need a vision like the Jews had, the Zionists, where we have a homeland or multiple homelands, where we don't have to have politics with imbeciles like Kamala Harris. That's really an embarrassment to our entire country. Or the founding fathers who they couldn't have, they might have believed really it could end up like this in a mob rule. But this is what they were scared would eventually happen. And it looks like they were right. So we will see. It should be an interesting election. I hope Trump and J.D. Vance wins, but it's not going to be as easy as you guys may think, because there's a lot of harsh blue states are going to vote for Kamala no matter what. And the battleground states, remember the media and Hollywood, they're going to go against Trump 24/7. They're going to be promoting Kamala. They're going to be targeting women because they think white women are a little easier to manipulate. And so they're going to go 100% that direction. So it's going to be closer. It's going to be close. It's a scary time. It's a wild time. Talk to you guys later.